It's nice to see so many people here. I'm Alessio, did most of the work on the new edition. First time, second. This is Beth, which helped with play testing and developing the new edition, and is doing a lot of work on the army books. I'll let you do the bit about the army books maybe later.
Yeah, maybe.
This special presentation.
Depends how good they are.
Cool, so I guess there was no title to this seminar. So I guess it's the Q&A about the Bolt Action 3rd edition. Everything you wanted to ask you. I'll begin by saying that obviously I'm terrified. Every time you put out a new edition, you kind of go, ooh, how is it going to go down? And I don't do social media because it's terrible for my mental health. Really, I just like it. But what people have told me about overall reaction, and some very nice things that people have told me this morning. It was really relief. It was big relief, and it was very, very lovely. It was lovely to hear that. You know, I heard of people worried about some of the changes before when they were announced, and there were rumors. But I always say, play first. Them can talk. Don't just stop at the rumors you heard and the things. Because again, an abstract conversation, actually playing it and feeling how it feels, the new edition, I think it makes a big difference. And I always say, play first. And what people have been telling me is this, you know, I was a bit about this thing, cover safe, yeah. And then I played it, and just flows, yeah. And which is what we felt when we were testing it, when we were developing it. And hearing that from people that, unless they've been bribed by to tell me the right things, it was really good. It was like, whew, okay, right, okay, that's good. So don't say too mean things, please. But no, if you guys tried it, what do you think? Do you have any questions? I guess that's what we're here for.
I have a question about your app going forward. What sort of format are we looking at? Is it going to be broken down by squad, or is it going to be fully army list?
So, app stuff. Actually, the gentleman that's just walked in at the back of the room, the blue hoodie.
Ask me about the app.
Yeah, they're asking about the app. I think we can.
The app. I realised I had no idea.
So the format you're going to have, are you going to break it down by squad, i.e. a medium mortar, and it be just a single thing, or is it going to be a full army list that you have to scroll through?
So how do you mean? Do you mean when you get the PDF export, or?
Well, on the app, if you've got it, are you scrolling through a whole army list, or can you just break it down into what you want?
So when you go to add a unit, it'll just show you the units that are valid for that part of the army. So if you're in your required for a rifle platoon where you've got one officer and two infantry squads, when you go to add, you're only going to see the rifle, the infantry squads that are valid for that bit. So not engineer squads and the officer at the top. So we're trying to limit it down to just the ones that you can take. You don't have to scroll through lots. The only exception is when you've got something like partisans, where they've got a lot more that they can choose from, so you've got a lot to scroll through. So does that?
And then the export for the PDF will be the whole army list.
Yeah, it'll be just the troops that you've taken in that company. So all the platoons, and they're broken down into like this platoon 1 and all their units, this platoon 2 and all their units, and then at the end of it, you can optionally add on all of the special rules that are in that company, so you don't get special rules that you're not going to use, and all of the weapon stat blocks that are in that company as well. So, yeah. And if you have any feedback on that when you get your hands on the app and you think it could be better, just send an email to warlord@malware.com. We're pretty quick to at least answer them, if not to fix them.
Thank you.
Doing the testing on it's been really good, and the UI is really intuitive and it works and flows.
So you.
I'll take that bribe now, please, mate.
Is all the content going to be available straight away on that subscription, or are there going to be price walls?
No price walls. So it's $1.99 a month, and you'll get access to everything. And then as new content is added, you'll get access to that as well. Additionally, there's an annual tier, and if you're on the annual tier, you'll pending approval from Warlord, you'll get early access as new content is released. So Army Resolve is coming out in, I think it's January. I don't know if
we're covering that at the end. Spoiler alert.
But it means that if the release, let's say the release date was end of January, if you're an annual subscriber, you'll get it middle of January. That's pending sign off from Warlord for each new release. But yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
I learned a few things there.
So obviously bolt action reaches a certain point, you decide you need a new edition. Where do you start with what you want to do? What are your aims, your objectives? How do you want to change the game?
So that's from a commercial drive, in the sense that, particularly with Bolt Action Second Edition, there wasn't really a strong design drive in terms of the game wasn't broken. It's not like, oh my god, we need to fix this game, it doesn't work, it doesn't sell, it's not fun. So there wasn't a major, we need to redesign the game. On the other end, there was definitely a growing commercial desire of refreshing the way armies are collected, because again, the reinforced platoon, which is very abstract, it's a bit of everything. But for years, people were a bit like, we would like to do something a bit more free, open, so that you could actually collect different collections. It was about refreshing the collections of armies as opposed to the actual gameplay. And of course, there were some elements that through years of going to tournaments, playing with competitive players, etc., you kind of go, ooh, some of these things may need a little addressing. The eternal niggle, like machine guns. You know, the machine guns are a bit, they're not good enough, except on tanks, but they're really good, a bit too good. So there were a couple of niggle bits that were accumulating after all these years. But I mean, the second edition was out. When was second edition out?
9 years ago.
9 years
Something
ago.
like 7 or 9, it's one of the two.
Yeah. So I think
2016.
We had this discussion. I was in Cyprus at the time.
it's a testament to the fact that the game is not, there's not many games that last that long.
No.
I mean, think about Games Workshop. There is every 3 years. There's a again. Let's say it's a thing that with any company I work with, wargaming companies, well, not just wargaming, but you tend to have new editions of games. It's both commercial and actually the community normally makes you do that. So there was an initial, we need to revolutionize the way armies are collected. That was the biggest drive, and of course I got to do some things with the rules. My drive as a designer was, as I said, I go to tournaments, play with in theory experts of the game, and even then, when I was playing high-level games, there was a lot of times when people were counting what they needed to hit, and it took a long time. We argued about all this, that, and sometimes we got it wrong. And then after 2 turns, you go, I actually did hit. Oh god, because we didn't count that. I felt that was not ideal. I didn't like that. I thought it was like, I would like to concentrate on what I'm going to do, which unit I'm activating next, which is for me is the joy of bolt action. The thing I like is that's what am I going to do? Is it going to be the sniper or the big tank, or is it going to be? So that decision is the core. Having more time to think about that and less time going +1, -1, +3, -2. That I wanted to address that, which again is something that wasn't. It's interesting because it's not the community is telling you, oh, this is just too complicated. But I felt the game would have been better and therefore possibly more accessible to a wider audience. People, more casual gamers, young people. Like I love to see dads playing with their kids. It's fantastic. I like that a lot. So yeah, make it more accessible, but not less interesting as a game, because there's a perception that games need to be complicated, to have a lot of rules, to be interesting. And I always say, chess. Is it not interesting? Does it have a lot of rules? That kind of. So, in fact, I think if you have fewer rules, then you can spend more time thinking of strategy and how to win the game. So yeah, try to go in that direction. And from what I hear, people that try it seem to now go, actually, yes. Only 3 modifiers to keep here, right? not 7.
So as you get older, fewer rules.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
If you're playing multiple systems as well, I've got to remember them all.
Exactly.
I've no idea. But
I think it was really interesting how we went into it with, right, okay, we looked at it and went, what isn't working, or what is not broken but abused or anything like that, and like how can we balance it, not fix it necessarily, and just we came with these big lists, didn't we, of like how would you do this, like machine gun teams, for instance. World War II tactics are built around machine guns. It's just well known. People weren't using them, and then we went into that. Look, you asked why aren't people using these teams, and then it sort of snowballs from there.
yeah, we tried some solutions, different solutions, like put more pins on it, etc. I was like, no, that's way too many pins on the table.
Yeah.
No. So I went for the very conservative. you know, like, oh, they had 4 shots, now 5 shots, and third edition 6 shots. It's like if they had, you know, 4 shots, not good enough. 2,000 shots, too good. So I'm kind of going, there must be a number. There must be a number in between there where it's about right.
I remember at one point where German machine guns were getting far too many. Played a couple of games and went, "Oh, that's spicy. Yeah, no, let's tone that down a little bit."
Yes. Yes, indeed. There is yeah, trying to. Like Rick, who was here before. I mean, he's my design guru. But yeah, what he says is there is no balance in wargaming. There is the illusion of balance, and that's what we're trying to achieve. It's like, you know, because there's so many variables. And I was looking at the table there, and there were people playing with this crater and things, and you're gonna go. You look at a beautiful diorama, and people playing those, fantastic. However, half of the terrain is completely different from what you were developing rules for. Exactly. You're gonna go. You know, people will have to make that thing, you know, sandbag with a passage where the excesses like that, and what is that in rules terms? You know, so the wargaming is by nature it's a bit more. I'll say there's more variables and it's less precise and practical than a board game or something with hexes. So yeah, it's sometimes it's tricky to get it right.
I was wondering, is there any difference between how you would approach designing a game like Bolt Action that's based on like a real conflict or something that really happened, as opposed to the design approaches you would take with like a fantasy game like Bolt Action?
Well, I guess you're recreating reality, even though it's a fictional reality in the case. So you're trying to recreate that reality as close as possible, but still keep the fun and the game. Yeah, not the simulation. If the simulation is too detailed, then it bogs down into too much detail. So it's finding that balance between gameplay and reality and representing the thing you're representing. So ultimately, there isn't, in terms of game design, there isn't a difference. I think the difference is more in the there's more freedom, I guess, in a fantasy or science fiction environment, because World War II is still, you know, still living memory. So you have to be careful, be mindful of, you know, what you say, and so there's an element there that doesn't exist in fantasy. You know, nobody's going to go, oh, you know, you said something terrible about the elves, and you know. Not real. So yeah, the mechanics of core, I mean, game design, no, but yeah, there are other considerations which make it different. Also the historical, you know, nobody's going to say, I think you'll find that the poundage of an elven warbow was actually the high elf made, you know, 60 pounds balls, I suppose. You know. Oh, okay.
Oh, I think this is the part where I was paid to say you guys were
Yeah.
right.
Say that out loud.
So I actually have a question. So with V2, a lot of it was built kind of on the bones of V1 to be compatible with the army lists and the scenario books. I understand that's changed with V3. Has that allowed for a lot more creative freedom and to redesign the game in a more flexible way?
Especially the points values, I think, was the big thing. The big thing, yeah. Because, like you said, Protection 2 was affected 1.5. It was the condition was all the books out there were to remain valid. 90% valid, because I remember when we did the HE, you know, it was like HE, well, we changed HE between 1 and 2 and, you know, templates and stuff, so some of there was a little bit tweaking with the HE, but yes, we couldn't change the point values, because, like, and that's a big handicap. Well, now it's like, nope, start afresh, fresh start, you know, machine guns, team machine guns can be 15 points instead of 20, you know, the kind of, so yeah, it allows us to do more, which means it's also a lot more dangerous, of course, because more chances
You're
of
taking steps into the unknown.
Yep. And
Cover saves, for instance, we did a lot of testing with different variables of cover saves, how they work, what they give you, when you do them, how you do them, and you have to really get that point of, cool, we're playing this in this contained environment, but once this is out in the wild, this could be good or bad in one way. So you've got to be, like I said, you've got to temper it. You can't just go nuts and just change everything. You've got to understand how the game's going to then be perceived from that point onward.
Yeah, I think the responsibility that I felt is, I understand that the rules are not the only important thing, but thinking Bolt Action is doing well, Bolt Action 2 is doing well, there's a company that sells it in the world, there's lots of people who work here and their livelihood depends on this. If I get it really wrong, yeah, there could be impact on real people's lives and stuff, which kind of is a bit paralyzing, to be honest. It's like, I don't want to change anything because leave it. But you don't want to do that, of course. Well, what's the point of a third edition if you don't, a new edition if you don't change stuff? So yeah, a bit nerve-wracking, but as I said, I'm very relieved to see that the first vibe here seemed to be good. So it's kind of going, okay, I haven't broken I haven't killed the goose that laid the golden eggs. It's like, a bit scared.